Let's get some facts. 37% of you aren't subscribed to this channel. That's almost 4 out of 10 just freeloading the alpha. So come on, hit subscribe and I promise to keep leveling up the show with the best guests and the juiciest insight. Go on, do it now.
All right, hi everyone. It is awesome to be here. That was an exciting intro. I feel like encapsulates the energy of this week. And this, for me personally, is my 5th Breakpoint, so it's an honor to be on stage here with you guys. And kind of thinking back to that first Breakpoint, the space has changed dramatically. And kind of my first question for you guys was just as a personal reflection, what you guys are most proud of in terms of accomplishments over the past 5 years, thinking back to that Breakpoint.
Yeah, I'll go first. I think, just the constant reinvention of the network, the ecosystem, and the community. A lot of people just don't even remember, but Solana started as like a ghost chain, and then a DeFi chain, and then an FTX chain, and then a meme coin, well, NFT chain. That was a whole cycle, and then meme coins, and now it's clear that it's used for absolutely everything, and there's a compounding effect of all of those things coming together. So I think the reason the community has the resilience to go through all that reinvention is because they're here for a reason, for each other, and for the performance and the ease of use of the network.
I'm really proud that I only have like 7 minutes of stage time.
They were discussing how that their goal next year is to have no stage time.
I want to be in the audience. I mean, I think one of my favorite things that Balaji has said that decentralization is not the absence of leadership, it's the abundance of leadership. And over the last 5 years, just so many people have stepped up from foundation and labs, but even folks completely outside of any of those kind of original organizations, just community people building applications and protocols, have really took the leadership roles for the entire network, to the point that I don't have GitHub commit privileges anymore, and I spent like 2 minutes on stage. My goal is to just be in the audience. That would be like, I think, seeing the network really mature and take a life of its own.
And kind of going off of the point you were making, Raj, about all these different evolutions Solana has taken, I think especially over the past year, we've seen all these different use cases, but there's been these 2 major kind of themes emerging, both around kind of memes and that use case, as well as kind of in parallel, the institutionalization and the launch of the ETFs. And I'm curious how you guys think about all those different use cases, like interplaying with each other, as well as how you guys think about embracing them or managing them.
I think the internet has always been both very serious and create a lot of like kind of value that's very easy to understand, and also entertainment. And the famous quote is "Internet is for cats." And if you look at like technology in general, NVIDIA started as a video game company. So I think memes and NFTs and all these things are kind of the cats part of the internet. But because of those, we're able to build and develop technology that can really serve global finance as cheap as physics allow. And I think that's really cool that we get to do both.
Yeah, I remember the first time I set up an email address was because my cousin in South Africa wanted to send me the dancing baby GIF. And that's why I got an email address. And it's why a lot of people got an email address. And I think meme coins might be the first reason a lot of people get a wallet, but it grows into something much larger.
Makes a lot of sense, and I agree. And I feel like you see that even with how people use the chain today and what they get their first Phantom wallet for. And so thinking about kind of how you guys are looking towards next year, I think it's very clear what the chain is going for in terms of technical goals, and we have this IBRL that's guiding technical direction. How do you guys think about things from a business or strategic perspective, and what the non-technical constraints for Solana are?
I always kind of thought crypto as being this next iteration of the internet. The biggest constraint is just human understanding. So like trying to explain to my parents what private key cryptography is and like seed phrases and all of these things. It just takes time. And I think every way that you can get somebody to engage with these technologies is a net good. So meme coins, NFTs, whatever gets that person's interest sparked, and they go install their favorite wallet, Soulflare or whatever, and go interact with the chain. I think that's a net good.
What's your de facto explanation for blockchain when your mom's friend asks what you do?
That one's tough. Like, I think the easiest way to explain it is like childhood trauma and leaving the Soviet Union, and that you can take your assets with you when you gotta flee. But yeah.
I'm sure that clarifies a lot. And kind of thinking about the converse side of that, what do you think are the 2 to 3 big technical improvements that'll be kind of the major unlocks?
I mean, Fire Dancer full client is here, and that's awesome. So having it kind of the final audits and that like final step is really great to see. That in my mind, this is where I've always felt like is the time to rip off the beta tag, is when we have 2 implementations of the protocol. So there's no bus factor, and we have this kind of true interpretation of what it means to do like a valid state transition on the network. So this to me is like, I don't think we need the beta tag anymore. And obviously the IBRL improvements that everyone has been working on, Alpenglow and MCP, those hopefully going live relatively soon next year.
Another question I had, maybe Raj, this one's for you, but I think again, this past year, another conversation that's come up over and over again has been the role of revenue on chain and across the ecosystem. And I'm curious, both, where do you think this next like 2x in revenue comes from, and whether that's a metric that you guys kind of are prioritizing, or what metrics you guys are prioritizing?
Yeah, I mean, I think Toly really drilled it into all of our heads that, a revenue generating business is kind of the closest thing you can get to a source of truth as you can in focusing a team. So the more revenue generating businesses we have on chain that grow and thrive independently with use cases to make use of block space, the better. I think a recent chart that came out that we look at as a huge breakthrough is if you look at the last 20 companies that reached $100 million in revenue. The majority of them are crypto businesses. I don't think a lot of people knew that. And the majority of those are on Solana. So that was always kind of the goal. Where it comes from, I think you need the entropy of like thousands of entrepreneurs just exploring every possible value proposition for how to use block space. And I think we have that. Like Coliseum hackathons are just getting bigger and bigger, 1,700 teams at a time now. I think we just want to see more of that.
And what other metrics in addition to revenue are kind of forefront, or you think are kind of upstream of revenue?
What do you think, Toly?
I mean, every business is going to have kind of its secondary metrics, but I think for the L1 and the financial use case specifically, volumes and TVL and all those kind of DeFi specific metrics are really important. But you still, I think, need to tie it back to like, how does this business make money? Because that really translates to how are you creating value for the end user, for your customer, and how much runway you have. Like ultimately, I think the market cap of all of crypto is going to continue to grow, but at some point, I think the value is going to be split by revenue.
And does the context of that change at all when you think about the Seeker and that product and revenue on the Seeker for developers on Seeker?
Yeah, this has been, I think, a really pleasant surprise how fast we've seen teams actually start to earn revenues on Seeker and the SMS platform. So we're seeing that like CFL, Perena, Moonwalk Fitness, like Ore Miner, these apps launched and they got their first 10,000 users in the Seeker ecosystem. And this is, again, a much smaller distribution channel than Apple, but it's a very concentrated one. These are folks that are crypto first, crypto native, and then want to try stuff. So if you're building a mobile app and you need your first 10,000 users, this is a very small pond, which you can be a big fish and get that iteration and figure out those loops that get your users excited and start earning your first dollar. I think that's really important unlock for developers.
Yeah, it's I feel like a pretty hard to reach audience in general, just with kind of the anonymity in the space. And you do have that reach on social media, but reaching those like prosumers of crypto is harder. And we've been getting more requests for Seeker, for loop scale, and so we got to prioritize that mobile application. And so I want to also just kind of think about maybe it could be a Seeker application, but if you guys were not the founders of Solana and Solana existed today, what would you guys want to build on Solana?
Every time I have an answer to that question, if I scroll enough on Twitter, I see that somebody is already building it on Solana, which is a great sign. I think the latest one is more gamified trading interfaces for options. Because it seems like, I think anything that makes finance more fun is, I think, aligned with where crypto is heading. I think in 10 years, people will have a less toxic and scary relationship with finance because of crypto. So right now, where I think the frontier for that is in more fun trading interfaces. And I think there's a Coliseum team called Banana Zone that made one. It's awesome. Everybody should go use it.
Are you excited for the 16 replies shilling their apps after this?
More. Everybody should be shilling.
And what about yourself?
I would take like the proof of work based ore miner and do like a superconductor search for the proof of work part.
Do you want to elaborate on that a bit?
I think like the other side of the finance stuff, just go have fun. Like come up with a crazy idea, and there's a lot of weird crypto loops that don't work in any other place in the world. I think using the proof of work mechanisms for getting people to go participate in a network to do something, I think is really interesting and underexplored. And when that stuff pops off, you create whole new categories like, what was it? Walk to earn or whatever. Those things happen, and all of a sudden you get 1,000 new devs trying to replicate that in other parts, in other parts of application development, and that's how innovation goes. So,
do you think, kind of in that same vein, there's advice for founders specific to crypto that you think applies specifically or especially in crypto?
I think you got to ship fast. Like that would be my advice: is iterate and try out an idea, get it to market, and like watch it fail, and try to find those couple users that do something interesting with what you built, and then kind of reshape the product around it.
And want to also ask, Raj, you had tweeted a few weeks ago, what are Solana's 10-year goals? But it was just a quote tweet of Elon, and you didn't answer the question. So I would love to hear kind of what you guys view as the vision for Solana, say 10 years from now, that makes you guys most excited about having built the chain.
Yeah, I mean, I think when we used to talk about the scale of the vision, the metric we always talked about was what % of global finance could be on chain. I think Solana's positioned to accelerate its share of how much crypto gets over the next 10 years. And so I think it's reasonable. And also I think crypto is accelerating faster than any of us anticipated. In 2017, we didn't imagine we'd have such a clear US regulatory environment, that we'd get the support of major countries, issuing assets on chain, major banks. So I think we should probably upgrade that to like 25%, and Solana gets at least 10%. In that trade, so
or all 25%.
Yeah, maybe all 25. But I think there's room for lots of competition. Competition is good.
Do you feel like your dream 10-year vision is relatively aligned?
I can't think of more than like 8 weeks ahead.
Yeah. Very fair. And rumor has it that you guys have some announcements to make this morning.
Yeah, just one important one. I think, first of all, we wanted to thank everybody for coming out to Abu Dhabi, especially people from as far as California that flew 16 hours. I think everyone's big question is what's next. So we have a video to tell you where we're gonna all meet up next year. Seems like everybody's pretty happy with that choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to pick a location. I think the events team, shout out to Ellie and Akshay, who just do an incredible job putting these on. It's a very difficult choice. You have to optimize for visas. You have to look forward ahead 1 year and think about strategic positioning for the ecosystem, for the network, and for everybody who builds on it. We're pretty confident London's going to be an excellent breakpoint for next year, just as Abu Dhabi was this year. So with that, thanks so much for coming, guys.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
So, you obviously like this video enough that you've got to the end. That's quite a big task. But listen, do me a favor, hit the like and subscribe button, and also check out what video's next, because I think you'll love it. But if you want even more, and when I'm talking more, I'm talking about member-generated ideas, incredible alpha, research, everything there to help you in your journey, just head to realvision.com/join for the best financial intelligence out there and the pure alpha that's within the platform.